Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason here outside the movie theater here in Leavenworth, and just got to see Ballerina. Yeah, I was expecting like this movie about ballerinas dancing or something, but turns out it's like a female assassin killing people. I'm just kidding. I knew it was about a female assassin, but it's just funny that's called Ballerina, and you're like, expecting Ballerina to be a dance movie, you know, but it's funny that's this action movie, kind of like Black Swan's not really a dance movie. It's kind of a weird drama. But anyways, yeah, Ballerina. I was kind of excited for this movie, actually. I thought the trailers looked pretty good. I'm a big fan of John Wick, and I love the whole kind of world building that John Wick did. And yeah, so I was like, all right, we'll try this, even though it's not John Wick. It's Ana de Armas playing this character, a spin-off movie, though we've never really seen her before. And my big problem with this movie is just that I just didn't believe Ana de Armas as this badass assassin and that she can kill all these people. I just never once believed Ana de Armas could do it. And that's the big problem. When you're having an action movie, you want the action star to really be believable when they're doing action scenes, and you think, man, they're so cool, they look so great, you know, they look good and all this. And this, I don't know, I didn't care for Ana de Armas. I just thought, just this little girl beating all these guys up, it just doesn't work. And I think just female action movies just doesn't work for the most part, and I think that's why it didn't work for me. So even from the very first fight scene in the movie, I was like, wow, this isn't believable. I don't believe Ana de Armas at all. What a bad spin-off, in my opinion. And Keanu Reeves shows up at John Wick and actually has a good fight scene in the movie. I'm like, I just want to see Keanu Reeves do this. I don't want to see Ana de Armas do it. So just based on that, it didn't work for me. As an action movie, you got to believe the action star can do it and has to have good action scenes. And not that they were badly done. It's just I was never into the movie. I never could get into the character. I was like, who cares about this character and her story and her killing people? I don't know. Yeah, so to me, it was just kind of a dud movie. Doesn't work for me personally. But yeah, I'll talk more when I get home here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Tuesday night, back home after watching Ballerina. And yeah, as more I think about this movie, I just don't think female-led action movies work. I think that's the big problem here. And I went in trying to hope that it would work, even though in my mind I thought it's gonna be a hard sell, you know. And I think about, has there been a good action movie with a female lead? Not really. When I think of my favorite action movies, and I watch a lot of action movies, maybe my favorite genre of movies to watch, they're all male-led action movies. You know, when I think of the John Wick series, of course, with Keanu Reeves, think of, you know, Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise. You think of James Bond with, you know, different male leads there. You think of even like Indiana Jones, Die Hard, the Raid movies. Those are the great action movies I've ever seen that have been made. And you can go back into like 80s and maybe into the 90s and talk about the Arnold Schwarzenegger-led action movies are, you know, really fun and a lot of good stuff there. And Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know, you can look at all these, and what do they have in common? They're men, and especially those 80s, you got men that are super jacked. That's what's fun. It's fun watching an action movie with a super jacked hero doing the action. It's very believable. You believe that guy could beat those people up. It doesn't work when you have someone like Ana de Armas who doesn't look like she could beat anybody up, and I'm supposed to believe like, oh yeah, she can take all these guys out, and a couple women. At least they had some women assassins in there, and those scenes were believable. When she was fighting a female assassin hand to hand, I was like, yeah, this is possible. I can see this. But a man here fighting a man, no, it doesn't work at all. And yeah, I think I'm finally at a point where I'm like, I just can't stand these female-led action movies. It just doesn't work for me. And I don't know if anybody else is out there feels the same way, or am I totally off on that? I don't know. That's just the way I feel now. And I feel like Hollywood really wants to push it. They want us to like female-led action movies. And I want to say, Hollywood, stop it. It doesn't work. Give us more male action movies. That's what I need. A good male-led action movie. And we've had those, and they haven't been all that great lately either. Action movies itself is a genre that has not done very well lately, I feel like. The only really good action movie I've seen this year is Fight or Flight, and with Hartnett, and I doubt most people have ever heard of this movie or have seen it, and it should be talked about more. It's a much better action movie than Mission Impossible or The Accountant 2 or Ballerina. Have all been kind of disappointing for me. But yeah, who do you want to watch? Arnold Schwarzenegger, a Austrian bodybuilder killing guys, or you want to watch Ana de Armas? I mean, it's a no-brainer there. So yeah, the movie just doesn't work for me based on that premise, I think. And I just saw from the very first scene, there's the first kind of action scene with Ana de Armas. She has to protect this woman in this club and from these kung fu people, these Asian gang people that know kung fu, whatever, or whatever. And so, and she doesn't really, she has a gun, but they're like rubber bullets, so she can't kill anybody. She can only hurt them with a gun for some reason. So she has to kind of fight them hand to hand. And it was like, okay, this is so implausible. There's like 4 guys and 1 girl that she's fighting. And Arms just didn't even look that good when she was fighting and she was doing hand-to-hand combat stuff. I was like, I didn't really believe she could actually beat these people up. And they looked really good. They were doing like these really difficult, jump kick moves. And they were hitting her a lot too. Like, in fact, the first scene, like I said, the first action scene, she's kind of getting her butt kicked for the first part of the fight. And then somehow she kind of gets around and somehow gets a couple good licks in or gets some weapons and hits him with something. And she kind of wins over. But I'm thinking, I feel like she kind of was losing that fight. And I'm like, why do I want to watch an action movie where the lead is not that great at action? Like, no, I like John Wick. John Wick murders people. Like, he murders a whole room of people, like 20, 30 people, like no sweat, That's much funner to watch. And he looks very good at it, and he looks very plausible, like Keanu Reeves, And one of the issues, I think, as I'm watching this movie is that there has to be this backstory, because this character, this ballerina, Eve, her name is, played by Ana de Armas. We have to get kind of a backstory of like what's get the plot of the movie, because it's a spin-off of John Wick. Takes place between John Wick 3 and 4, basically. It's like right in that middle of those 2 movies, and we're kind of seeing this whole story of her revenge story, because the whole movie, to spoil it a little bit, her dad gets murdered by this cult group led by Gabriel Byrne, like the main villain, and he has this gang. I think they call them the Cult or something like that, and they have X's burned on their wrist or whatever, and that's how you know who they are. And we see this: her dad gets murdered, and then she gets taken in by Angelica Houston's, Russian gang that John Wick was with in Chapter 3. I forget her name, but like Roma or something like that, I think is her name. And that's where she learns to be a ballerina. And she also learns how to be an assassin. For some reason, they teach you how to do ballerina and how to be assassin. It's one of those things, I guess. And so we kind of go 12 years later. Now she's like a assassin in training. So there's a lot of backstory, in other words. And it does kind of go, oh my God. When I was watching, I'm watching an origin story of this character, and I'm like, not that interested. I kind of found myself going, I'm not that interested in the origin story of this Eve character. And again, it's her father was killed, so she wants to get revenge. Like, I've never seen that storyline before. That's, wow, what a original idea. So I was like, just the story, and I wasn't expecting the story to be that great, but still I was like, the story's not really doing anything special for me. And like I said, there's this whole backstory of her, and I was thinking, like, man, what I love about John Wick is that we didn't really need that much backstory on the character. We get a little bit of backstory of like his wife dying, and he gets a dog, and he's kind of grieving and coping with the death of his wife. We kind of get some storyline there, but we don't get backstory about it, like who he is, why he used to be this assassin, why is he out. We don't get, like, we don't get the story of, like in this movie, we start off with Anna de Armas as a, that character, sorry, Eve, I should say. We see her as a little girl at the beginning of the movie, and then we see her as Anna de Armas later on, training to be assassin. John Wick, we don't see John Wick as a little boy and what happened to him as a boy or how did he train to become an assassin. We see none of that. In fact, he's like a retired assassin. He's like already 50 years old by the time we get to John Wick, the first movie. And we already know that he's this, badass assassin. And we see every time someone mentions John Wick, people are scared of this guy. So we get a lot of story just from that. And then the first time we see him fight, we go, oh yeah, this guy is really good at killing people. And that's what's so great about that movie and the sequels, I think, is that we don't need a backstory. We already know that this guy is really good at what he does, and we just see him kill people. That's all we want to see is him, these really cool action scenes where he kills people. Well, this one, we have to have this whole origin story, backstory of this character, training, and she's not yet good at what she does yet. We're kind of getting her learning to be good at what she does. I don't know. So to me, it's like, I'm tired of this origin story stuff. We get a lot of that in superhero movies. And I'm like, this is the spinoff, but it's like the first, it feels like the first movie of a trilogy or something. I don't know. I hope there's no more sequels of this movie, by the way. So hopefully this will be it, because I don't think it's going to do that well, box office wise. Because it's really not that interesting of a character. Anna de Armas, I don't know if she's that big of a draw movie wise. So this might be the only one we'll see of her. We'll see, I guess. And saying that, I should say the best action movie in the movie is the first action sequence when it is Eve's dad. There's a whole fight scene in this house where Eve's dad is fighting off these assassins. Of course, eventually he gets killed. And Eve is watching it as a little girl, or whatever, and she kind of escapes. And that's kind of the first part of the movie. That's the best action part of the movie. Why? Because it's a guy killing these people, and he looked really good. And he was in Umbrella Academy, the main actor there, played the dad. Anyway, so his scenes were really good. They looked good. He looked like he could really, beat these people up, and the choreography was good, and he looked good in it. That really worked. Surprised it didn't work for the rest of the movie because it was Anna de Armas doing it instead of a guy doing it. In fact, there's another character in the movie that has like it's like there's another movie happening within this movie, and it's Norman Reedus. Kind of shows up during the movie, and you see him in the trailer. And there's a whole story with him, and he has a daughter, and he's trying to escape the same bad guys that she's going after. And he's kind of being hunted, and they're trying to take his daughter away from him. So he's trying to protect his daughter, and she kind of gets involved in this storyline. It's this whole storyline that it's a subplot of the movie. It's like they're in their own movie, and they kind of show up in this movie, and they come a little bit part of the movie anyways. And I kept thinking, I want to see this movie. I'd rather see Norman Reedus's movie, because I would rather much see Norman Reedus, do action. And I've seen him in Walking Dead, and, I know he could do action. So I'm like, yeah, I like Norman Reedus. Like, I like to see him star in this movie. Like, forget Eve and her storyline. Forget this movie. Let's do the movie with Norman Reedus as the, main character with trying to protect his daughter. That's a much more interesting storyline than what we're getting with Eve anyways, and much more plausible, the action sequences. So we get a little bit of Norman Reedus here. He's not in it much, but anyways. And I should say, well, and it's, okay, so John Wick does show up in this movie, of course. We all know this. Like I said, it happens between John Wick 3 and 4. And so, trying to not spoil too much, but I have to spoil a little bit, but the third act of the movie is Eve, the main villain, Gabriel Byrne, his whole cult group, whatever, is in the Alp Mountains in Austria, and it's a kind of a secret hideout. No one knows where they are. She kind of finds out where they are, and so she goes and visits to go, kill this guy and get revenge. And the only problem is she has like a tattoo of where she's from, and so they see her tattoo, and then they call up Angelica Houston, and they're like, hey, why are you attacking us? And she's like, I'm not. This person who works for me went rogue, and I'm not sanctioning her trying to kill you. She's just trying to get revenge. And Gary Burns like, well, if you can't stop her, we're gonna have like a gang war, and she doesn't want that because he's like got like a powerful gang. He's a powerful gang leader, so she's like, okay, I'm gonna send someone in to take her out for you, so that you don't start this gang war with me. And of course, we know who that's gonna be. It's gonna be John Wick. We see that in the trailer. He steps off the train, and he's gonna supposed to. And we see one trailer where, yeah, they kind of we see that there's gonna be like a fight between the two, anyways. And for me, I don't get that at all. It makes no sense to the movie because in chapter three, he's um, excommunicado, whatever. He has a big bounty on his head. The table's against him, whatever. He is a wanted man, and he doesn't really work for her. She like after that scene that they even show a scene from chapter three here. I say chapter three, John Wick 3, Parabellum. They show that scene that he has where he visits her and she gives him a ticket to go to this other place. And I thought she said they're like done. He hasn't worked with her. He's been retired actually as assassin for a while at this point, I think, and he doesn't work for her anymore. So, and like I said, he has like this whole, bounty on his head. So maybe I'm missing something, but it didn't make any sense to me that she would call him up to go deal with Eve's character, or with Eve, and that he would take the call and be like, yeah, I'll go do this thing for you. Like, while I got this whole other mission going on, between 3 and 4, none of that makes sense. There's no reason why John Wick would take that call and she would call him and that he would show up and do what she wanted. It makes, to me, it made absolutely no sense why John Wick's in this movie. It's a really stupid reason. And even he shows up, again, they do have a fight scene, which I am very happy to say. I was thinking, gosh, John Wick is so much better than this Eve character. I hope Eve doesn't give much of a fight to him. And she doesn't. The good news is he defeats her like easily. Like, in fact, she keeps fighting and he keeps knocking her down. And he could kill her at any time, like easily could kill her, like no problem. Which kind of is the problem with the movie because like we went from John Wick, who's awesome, to Eve, who's not that great. And we see that John Wick is way better than Eve at fighting. So it's like, wow, this is such a bad spinoff. Why did we pick this character as a spinoff? It's a terrible idea. And so I do like that they at least honor the character. John Wick's just much better than Eve, so I like that part. But he could kill her, but he doesn't. So I'm like, why did he take this call to travel all the way to Austria on the idea that he's, for some reason, going to take this girl out? And he goes, he could do it, but he doesn't do it. Why? There's no explanation why he doesn't kill her. There's no reason why he shouldn't at all. So it makes absolutely no sense that he's just like, oh, I'm not going to kill you. I'll just let you go, but you have to get everything done by midnight or I'm going to kill you. Anyways, and then it gets close to midnight and he's actually helping her kill the bad guy. So I'm like, why is he helping her? It went from, I'm supposed to kill you, to I'll let you go for another hour or another 30 minutes and then I'm going to kill you, to I'm going to actually help you so I not kill you. It makes absolutely no sense why he would go all the way to Austria and do that. And there's no motivation there. I don't know. There's no real connection between the two characters either. So why would he do this for her? I don't know. None of it makes sense. It's really kind of stupid. I do love seeing Keanu Reeves back in John Wick. He does have an action sequence in here. It's not a lot, but it was nice to see. And now I'm like, man, I want to see John Wick Chapter 5 rather than this Ballerina movie. Or pick somebody, like Norman Reedus likes it, pick somebody else, not this Ballerina character. Eve, is just terrible. And I wasn't a big fan of John Wick Chapter 4. I gave that a bad review. It was the most disappointing movie of the year that came out 2 years ago, whatever. And this, John Wick Chapter 4 is way better than this movie. I mean, the action's way better. Everything's way better. So this movie is just way below par of the John Wick, in the John Wick universe of movies, of the 5 movies, I guess you could say. This is definitely 5th of them. This is the worst movie of the John Wick franchise, if you want to say that. Just because it's Ana de Armas leading the movie, it doesn't work. And yeah, so yeah, again, none of the action scenes work except for one. I will say there's 2 positives I have this movie. One, I'm going to say, is there's a scene where she gets a flamethrower and there's this main henchman guy who also gets a flamethrower, and they have this flamethrower fight where they're shooting these flames at each other, and they're, one shoots the flame, the other one slow motion, Dodd runs out of the way, runs, through a window or whatever, does whatever they can to get away, and so one shoots off this flame in slow motion. It does look cool in slow motion. the fire coming out, the flamethrower, and the person dodges it, and then the person gets up, shoots their flamethrower, and then she dodges it and almost gets hit. And they do that for a little bit. That is a cool scene because I've never seen a flamethrower fight where two people have flamethrowers shooting at each other. That was something unique and new and something I haven't seen in the John Wick franchise. So I'll give him credit. That was a good scene and the best action sequence of the movie. Besides, like I said, the first action sequence I thought was pretty good. But as far as the Eve character, that was like the best action sequence that she was a part of. And that was good use of a flamethrower, I thought. Anyways, it was pretty cool. And it was winter, so it was snowing. It was cool that way. Anyways, so I will give it that positive. I can give you one positive. I'll give you another positive, and this is kind of funny, is that when I was watching the movie, I had a large fountain drink with me. I usually don't drink pop while I'm watching a movie because I know it's going to make me go to the bathroom, and I don't have to go to the bathroom during the movie, but I was really thirsty. And I was like, I wanted a pop anyway. So I got a large ones because you can get free refills. Anyway, so I'm drinking this large pop. And yeah, there's a scene where she goes and gets some guns from this arms guy, and they get attacked, and there's this whole battle sequence. And as soon as that battle sequence is over, and like right after that, this guy tells her like where the headquarters of this bad guy is, and so that's how she gets to know where the bad guy is, whatever. And so right when that scene ended, I was like, I'm going to the bathroom. And like I said, I usually don't go to the bathroom during movies, but I was like, this movie's not that great, so I'll probably be okay as long as there's no action going on. Hopefully there's enough time in between action scenes I can go to the bathroom, come back, and not miss much. So I was like, all right. So I get up and go to the bathroom, come back, and now she's like in this Austrian town, and it's snow everywhere, whatever. And this is like the headquarters, I guess. And this kind of, to me, the funny part is like I'm watching it and I didn't realize where they went, except I was looking at it going, okay, they're definitely in the Alps. I can see the Alp mountains. I was like, I bet this is Austria because I've been to Austria twice in my life. And I was watching that go, is this Hallstatt, Austria? And I'm looking at it like, this looks a lot like Hallstatt, Austria. And if you don't know, I've been to Hallstatt, Austria twice in my life, once in 2008 and once in 2023. I love Hallstatt, Austria. It is the most beautiful place I've ever been. Anytime someone asks me, what is your favorite place to visit? I say Hallstatt, Austria. Bar none, hands down. So beautiful, that lake. And if you see in the movie, there's a lake, there's Alp mountains around. It's like this little town that kind of juts out into the lake. And yeah, it's so beautiful anyways. And I'm watching it going, I think this is Hallstatt, Austria. This looks so familiar. And I was, and so much of that I wasn't paying attention to the story as much. I wasn't paying attention to action. All I was paying attention to was the scenery and going, that looks, I think I know that place. I'm pretty sure this is Hallstatt, Austria. And if it's Hallstatt, Austria, I'm kind of excited because I've never seen a movie placed in Hallstatt, Austria. It's not really that well known, though. It has a lot of tourism. I'll say the one thing that is different, of course, I went during the summer, not during the winter, so it might be different, but I can say during the summer, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of tourism. There's a lot of people walking around. In this movie, of course, there's no tourists. It's just, they're all bad guys anyway. So it's a little different than what my experience was being in Hallstatt. But anyways, again, this was winter and I was in summer. But anyways, still, and I did hear him say Hallstatt, and I was like, it's Hallstatt. I was like so excited. I'm like, all right, my favorite place on earth. And they're having this whole third act in this really cool town that everybody should visit. 100% everybody should visit this place. It's so cool. Now you can say, hey, this is where they shot parts of Ballerina, I guess, kind of cool. Anyways, yeah, so that got me a little excited that I recognized it, and go, wait a minute, I know this place. I've been here twice. I love this place so much. And it's funny watching it, I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember that alleyway. I remember that church. I remember going inside there. I remember that fountain, the town square. And I was like, yeah, I remember I stayed in this hotel right over here. I can pick out places that I remember being. So that was a lot of fun for me. Much more fun than actually watching this movie and paying attention to what was going on. So that was my, so I give it a positive that I'm glad they picked a really cool place to shoot the third act. Take that as you will. Besides that, yeah, overall, the Eve character was boring, not interesting, not great action sequences. The storyline was nothing really that interesting or new. Didn't really bring much to it. The bad guy was not that great either. Gabriel Byrne, like Gabriel Byrne, I haven't seen him in a movie in a long time. Like, who cares about Gabriel Byrne? So it's like, not that great of a villain. And again, it seems inconsistent with the John Wick franchise. Makes no sense of where it's placed to me. And I don't know. I hope we never see this character again, or has. Let's get back to John Wick in either John Wick 5 or a prequel or something. Just let's not have any more female-led action movie. Let's get back to the men. They are the ones I want to watch doing this stuff, anyways. But that's my thoughts. Obviously, I was not a fan, and I mean, I'll give it 2 stars. I'll be nice, I guess, and give it 2 stars because, like I said, there's 2 decent action sequences in the movie, and I love the fact that they were in Hallstatt, Austria. So I'll give them enough to give them 2 stars. Still, just way below par for an action movie, and for the John Wick franchise, it was not needed. This movie was not needed to be made. I guess they're just making something between the time. Hopefully, they'll come out with a John Wick 5 or something to, take the bad taste out of my mouth out of this movie. Anyway, so yeah, that's my thoughts on this movie. Please feel free to comment. What do you think about Ballerina? If you've seen it, did you like it? Were you like me? A bit disappointed with it. Love to hear your thoughts. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video and my review of this movie. Thank you so much for liking it and the video, that is. And thank you so much to my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate y'all. Hope you have a good day.